Welcome to the Paw Pod. Before making the planned trip to Portland, we had a brief shakedown trip to Lake Whitney State Park to test all the systems, process, and to celebrate Dakota's 9th birthday. Then the day came, all hooked up and ready to hit the road. The first leg of our adventure was to Albuquerque, stopping at the Cracker Barrel for dinner, and then staying the night in their parking lot. After breakfast the next morning, we went on to Durango to visit the family and see the sights. We stayed at the United Campgrounds that had a bonus of a pool, and the Durango-Silverton train passed through the campground. It was our turn to ride the train to Silverton the next morning. The views were amazing. The onboard narrators fill us in with all the information about the train and its history. We arrived in Silverton. Aunt Susan was there to meet us, have lunch, and drive us back to Durango, showing us the sights and the towns along the way. In Ouray, Dakota experienced a bit of altitude sickness, but it passed quickly. The next morning we continued our journey north, passing through beautiful scenery, including Arches National Park in Moab, Utah. After going through the worst rain and windstorms that Idaho had to offer, the worst in my life, we stopped at a small town Walmart in Idaho for the night. I'll post a link to help explain staying the night in some locations that allow overnight parking. After a restful night, we were on to Portland. The Columbia River was a constant companion that day. We finally reached Jansen Beach RV Park, our home for the next 2 weeks. Getting to see my daughter Shauna and her husband Jay, even getting a haircut from Aunt Shauna. Breaking in the new Blackstone griddle, a must-have in my opinion. Dakota lived at the pool, making new friends. While in Oregon, we had to catch the Mount Hood Railroad featuring the Western train robbery. While waiting on the train, a local coffee shop had a special. We had a great time on the trip. Dakota loved interacting with the cast of the train robbery. And Mount Hood was breathtaking. We stopped by the famous Multnomah Falls on the way back to Portland. Then, dinner on the Columbia River. Later in the visit, we went to Seaside for lunch and to let Dakota dip his toes in the Pacific Ocean. Then making the drive down the coast with a stop by the Tillamook Creamery. We were to drop Shauna in Depot Bay for a conference, then we would head home the next day, but the goodbyes were too much for all of us. I made a promise to wait and have one more lunch before we would leave Portland. Then, we did leave for home. We stopped at another Cracker Barrel near Boise, with a quick stop by the Snake River in Twin Falls, Idaho. Then taking the northern route on the way home, spending the night at the Walmart in Laramie. Stopping by Fort Collins, Colorado the next morning to see my niece, ending the night in Childress. then home the next morning. Undoubtedly the best trip of my life.